So today is all about pressure passing. Mhm. So I have to ask, Jeff, how's that doing? Are we still close?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
I'll do whatever I can.
So work at your pace.
You guys
Right.
enjoy pressure, so that's fine.
So peer pressure passing.
Peer pressure. You're gonna do it now. You're gonna do it. Okay.
You're gonna do it and like it.
That's right. So the double under guard pass was the first guard pass I was ever taught. And I was taught to it by a guy who's about Brody's size.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It kicked my ass. Literally. It made me understand how everybody else feels when I put pressure on them. But I was a brand new white belt and I had a purple belt just crushing me. And he was a little malicious. Big Joe.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He's a
Yeah,
little
I
malicious
figured.
about it.
I figured it's.
So we're gonna go through a kinder, gentler way to start into this, right? And then we're gonna start crushing the shit out of each other. How many of you have done the double under guard pass? Okay. That wasn't putting your hand up, that was moving a finger.
I can do that.
Come here. Okay, today. Everybody. So he's gonna put me in closed guard. I'm not gonna do this to you, I'll break you in half.
Did you
Thanks,
oh,
Andy.
man.
Oh, man, he's dandy.
You were just standing when I was doing it. I wasn't. I was.
All right, so
The other day.
we'll go through this. What's rule number one to passing the guard?
Control hips.
Control the hips. Rule number one to passing the guard, control the hips. I want everybody to say it. What's rule number one to passing the guard?
Control the hips.
Control the hips. If you do not control your opponent's hips, you will not pass the guard. Period. I don't care how good you are. I don't care what you do. If you do not control the hips, you will not pass the guard. Okay? What do I mean by control the hips? Do I mean punch them in the jimmy? Maybe if you're in a street fight, sure. But you shouldn't be here if you're in a street fight. Right? Jiu-jitsu match. Elbows together on the ribs. Outside the edge of your palms, going to the crease of the hip. I have a wide base so I can't get flipped around. And I'm locking my arm and pushing pressure down. Right? So if he tries to lift his hips up, he has to lift my entire body up. Right? If my elbows are bent and I'm loosey-goosey, he can do his little bump and swim, and I'm posed. Right? So we lock our elbows, push down, and this will help prevent him from lifting his hips to do the bump and swim. Right? Bump and swim, Shane.
It's not working.
Not so easy, right? So from here, controlling the hips, my elbows are tight, my forearms are on the thighs. I'm going to take my right knee and I'm going to move it behind his hips, and then I'm going to step back. As I step back, I'm going to turn to my left. I'm going to push down with my forearms. Boom. I'm applying pressure with my forearms, not my elbows, my forearms. Do the elbows work? Yes, but it's a dick move when we're training. It's not nice. It's really pokey and pinchy right through here, and people won't want to do work for very long. So forearms on the thighs, push straight down as we step back. Elbows stay connected above the knee, right? My hands stay on the hips to control the hips. From here, my hands are going to swim under. At the same time, get the knees by the ears, then I'm going to scoop into my lap. Boom. Right? I was kind of stuck here, right? Kind of sucks for him. If I get loose with my hands, he's going to start shrimping away, moving me around. Notice I'm not in a good base here. I am very close together to support keeping him off of the mats. Okay? I am gable grip. Pinching my elbows, upper thigh. Keep him in the lap. Then I'm going to lean forward, try to put his knees in his mouth hole. As we get closer and closer and closer, tripod, you all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I take the collar, I stick my thumb in, and I go with my knuckles all the way down to the mat. My elbow's on his shoulder. Lock his shoulder down. So we're just, boom, pinning him to the mat. His hand stays right here. I'm going to start walking my body around, and I'm keeping him flat. As I pivot, drop my shoulders, see how those legs pop right by the face? It's very nice. Get down here. All right, I keep the legs cradled like a baby. Arm comes under the head. I bring my knees in. Go to side control. Okay? Rule number one to passing the guard.
Control the hips.
I'm sorry?
Control the hips.
All right, we'll control the hips. Are my elbows tight to my body or digging into his legs?
Tight.
Tight to the body. Forearms on top of the thighs. Lock the arms, bring the knee in, step back, turn away. Why do we turn away?
Torque.
We're creating space between his ankles and his hip line. Okay? No matter how good you are, no matter how long your legs are, the farther your ankles go away from your hips, the more they have to come apart. Especially when you've got a big ass body between your knees, right? Your ankles will not continue to stay here unless your knees can travel, right? So I'm pushing away, taking your ankles away from your hips. As my body starts traveling down towards your knees, the ankles cannot stay connected anymore. So that breaks the guard. So we're here, boom. Gonna do my double under. Do I go one at a time or both at the same time? Same time. If I go one at a time, what's gonna happen to me? Triangle. You get choked out. Okay? Both at the same time. Swim under. Elbows stay connected. Scoop. Pull up. All right? Elbows are tight. Keep them tight in the lap. Lean forward. Knees go where?
Mouthful.
Into the mouth hole. Now we're up, kind of like a downward dog, right? My feet spread apart, so I've got base. Thumb in, knuckles go down to the mat, elbow locks the shoulder down. Now notice I dip my shoulder as soon as I lock his shoulder down with my elbow. After walking around. Drop my shoulder, legs come by the face. Notice I look to the hips so I don't get my nose taken off. Arm goes under. I bring my knees in. And side control. Okay? I'm ready to try it? Outstanding. Get somebody about your size. Let's play it. 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, yeah. How do you work with Jeff? Okay. You know how to do this without breaking somebody? Have fun.
Anyways, you do just so it's not like
All right. You want me to smash you first? You get it. Put my hips back down.
If I'm up here, just put me back on the mat.
Yeah, no, it's not shift this over. Through, the idea here is to make sure I break my nose. There you go. Now, same time, swimming both of us here, swim, boom.
Okay.
Are you in the knees?
Okay. Knees together and the way we're going in your back.
Yeah.
This is what we.
Sure, just like that. I know. It's not but this is too good.
Like here, sometimes it's hard. Walk through, keep this, get to here, and then come through.
Okay, gotcha.
So how was that?
On your legs.
I wasn't putting any force into it, man. I'm just big. That's all there is to it. That's what I was wondering. I'm down about 13 pounds, but still not gonna get much easier. Right? We don't need to be so dive. So we're here. Now, let's stack. So this one shifts over like that. You're back. A little pressure, man. Now, you don't want to guard open, so you need to be here. Swim under. Boom, yes. Yep. Boom. Good. Now what I want you to do, that might be harder for you to get a grip. Now we're here. It's okay. Because the texture of your gummies. Sit a little, can you get lower? Jello maybe? Okay, good. Good. Now.
This.
There you go.
There we go.
Before you start moving, because I'm gonna move with you. So, go thumb in. So like, turn it like this. Yes. Now, just keep in mind, when you're doing this, I want you to see, even though you're not right now, stay on your feet. Whenever you stack, that way you have to lift your ass. Walk in this way. You walk. Boom. Good. Now hang on. You keep the legs. This arm goes around my head. Oh, I see. Yes, head control. Good. And then here. And now, instead of this, I don't think you take this hand. But, what's that? You might need to say.
Everything else looked great. He said before you.
Oh, yeah. Yep, you're right.
Wait on. There you go. I'm begging for you to
Guys, watch out for that glasses.
Yeah, I saw. They all mean
So, you bring your knees in just a bit, all the way around. Like in your toes.
That's a close guard, that's what you want. Yes.
There we go.
So, here, unless it's hurting you, you say. Right little hip on there, you got. And that's how I'm kind of turn this way to concentrate on space.
Yeah, jump.
Here. See, and if I hit him up, it's not very easy. Well, I mean, it's not very easy for me to hit up if you have me pinned. Right. So you've got.
So I would
I would normally smash you more. Yeah. Here. Yeah.
Like, are you
So
okay?
here.
No.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Come this way. Got it. Yep. Then we go here. Yep. Here. Notice I'm keeping my weight the whole time. All right. I get it.
All right, guys, finish the rep that you're on. Okay, that shoulder.
We'll meet into you.
Choking her, we're not doing that yet. Come on, Lori.
She put her entire forearm.
Like, oops, sorry.
Shane?
It's just that naturally there.
I know. That's why we just grip. Most people grip in the middle of the shot.
That one's better. Just.
I know. All right. I heard this brought up by one individual, so I want to make sure everybody is aware of it, okay? When we stack somebody, right, we want to be careful where we're stacking them at. All right? I do not want to get somebody to where they're on their neck, and then all of my weight and their weight is driving straight down on their neck, right? That's an injury waiting to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Street fight, I don't give a shit. Training or tournament, no, don't do it, okay? So we get them on their shoulders. Then they still have most of their frame to help resist a lot of the injury that would come from being stacked up on your neck, okay? Now, the other thing is, if you've learned this in other academies, when you come forward, most people will do fingers in right here in the middle of the chest. I hate this grip. I hate this grip with a burning passion of 1,000 suns. And I'll tell you why. This is a loose grip, right? You don't have a lot of control with this grip. You've got fabric, nothing else. There's no real control here. I learned early on to ignore this right here. You can break this in mid-movement. Thumb in down here by the neck gives you positive control of this shoulder, and then you put your elbow on this shoulder and it pins everything flat. Okay? So what that does for you is it stops them from moving around. It stops them from circling. Your movement as you're coming across with this, you make an L, you pin that shoulder, and as you're coming around this direction, you should be pulling that shoulder toward you. It'll stop them from spinning in the same direction that you are. The other side of this is it makes sure you're very, very evil break cutter as you're moving through. So if they start getting too lippy or too squirmy, you just choke them out in the middle of the movement. We're going to get to the choke in a second. Okay? But anytime you have the opportunity to get thumb in at the base of the neck to where the bony part of your wrist is on a carotid, you've got a choke set up. take advantage of it. Okay? So make sure you're not stacking each other on the neck, and make sure this thumb is getting as close to the mat as possible when you make that fist. And as you're moving around, do not adjust your grip. Leave it here, pin that shoulder. It's going to be uncomfortable. But what is part of jiu-jitsu? Learning how to be comfortable in uncomfortable positions. Because if you ever have to do this in the real world, they're not going to be nice to you when they get a hold of you. Right? Let's do a couple more reps in, then we'll move on. 2, 1, 2.
Yours.
Oh, yeah.
That one puts a lot of chest
training.
friction on you.
You fell back into training.
There you go. Well, look at your chins.
It goes.
Okay.
Yeah, once you get her stacked, you want to make sure you stay on her shoulder.
So you didn't break the grip control.
Oh, yeah,
you didn't.
you're right.
Right those knees.
Right, shift this over. Oh, yeah. And you'll find it, but you'll turn a little bit so that you.
I was gonna say, if you do it right.
Now.
The smash never stops.
Yes, keep going.
Now we're.
Keep your knees out.
Boom.
When you bring your knees
Good.
you lose a lot of that control pressure. So stay.
Yes.
The number one
So
thing
go
you
from
focus on your right guard, especially with grip,
Yes.
the knee slicer, is you can maintain your posture correctly, what she says that she's like,
Yes. Best one yet. Excellent. That was awesome.
keep in my posture.
Exactly.
It's my leg, the same
So no, it
spot.
was good because you had your knees in position. You had good.
You won't stay in the same plane in 5 training. I don't open my elbows or something like that. You open your elbows, you might attack you under this. You can pull them forward. But if I'm tight, you can't do shit. I maintain the same posture until you break.
When you're doing this one doesn't come in with this one.
No.
Because I do this right away, now I'm really narrow. Yeah. What I want to do is keep this one here, just shift this one. Just the one. So when I do this, now we're ready to go.
Get my shoulders in, it's a little difficult.
Which today is
Lower.
both come underneath, boom.
There we go.
Okay.
Hold up.
We're like this, on my toes, but I do this.
Right there.
I want to be here, boom, 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 come through. Got it. Right, break. Yep. Control. Yep. Perfect.
All right, Dave, let's see.
Got it. Okay.
Smash.
Okay, so you see my
Go
arms?
to the right direction. Let go.
I'm gonna go over these, so you want to.
Okay.
So make this one a little, so your base is good. Yeah. As long as you can. I don't know where your pain is, so I don't want to make you
Too high.
Okay, good, right there.
And it,
Try and get deeper on that collar.
so it's not do that.
Part of the neck.
No, don't forget,
Walk around,
when you
walk
do
around,
that,
walk around.
what I felt was you might pick it up, but you feel your whole body move that.
Make sure
So
you
you have this here, use that as a wedge, real. Keep this in. Now, as you do that, and you open this up, I also want your body to go that. So yeah. Because you need your whole body to expand.
I ate a little too much yesterday, Dave. It's getting me plenty.
We went to Frankie.
So,
Jeff, I want you to come back.
That's
I want you to
why.
Jeff, come back, get back in your base.
The most that happened in quite a while.
And you're gonna scoop him up into your left. I want your knees together. Okay? And bring him all the way up.
so I try to keep
His
on
hips off of the ground. You go. Yes. Now lean into
I'm up
it.
here, Hercules. Yeah. Too low.
There you go.
If I'm like right here,
Yeah.
I'm trying to scoop you up and right front.
Yes.
Make it close down here.
There you go.
Excellent, right? Yeah.
All right, guys. Hi. Nice work. Everybody's got the basics of this move down. So, good. All right. Mastery comes later. What we're looking for is base understanding of the movement. Now, it's not on the curriculum, but we're gonna go into the choke real quick, just because it's right there before we go into the escapes, okay? Should I let Eddie get out before we do that?
Sure.
Okay.
Didn't you already?
All right, so, now scoot that way just a little bit. So I already broke the guard, got it scooped, we're coming in, knees to the mouth hole. Reach in, get my collar grip where the bony awful part of my wrist is right there on his carotid artery. I'm gonna pin his shoulder down. When I do that, my hips and my shoulders turn in the same direction. As I walk around, that pops through. Let's say he starts getting a little kicky and squirmy, and I don't like that. All I'm gonna do is slip my elbow off of his shoulder, right down to the mat. Okay? I got him right here. My elbow's on the shoulder, and he's stacked, right? He gets squirmy, I just slide my elbow off of his shoulder. You're gonna get pressure across the throat, but as soon as the elbow comes off of the shoulder, both carotids get pinched, and that choke is done. Okay?
It's quick and nasty.
It's gnarly. It can do damage if you go fast. So what do we do with submissions? Slow. Okay?
I've had my trachea damaged from somebody doing this too quickly.
Yep. So be nice to your training partners. They won't work with you anymore. If nobody wants to work with you, you will never progress in jiu-jitsu.
For the record, it wasn't me who did it to
Yes.
her.
Where was your like pivot point across the, on the one side, was it the collar or was it your actual?
My wrist,
Okay.
right? So what ends up happening is I've got the collar. As my elbow comes off, right, it creates this little peak right here. This goes over
Okay.
the trachea, right? And then this will pinch the other carotid. This is pinching the other, well, actually the collar shifts around a little bit,
Gotcha.
right? So you pinch your collar and then forearm, and then this becomes the peak over the trachea. Okay?
Still gets involved a little bit, but not if you're.
Yeah, you're still gonna get pressure there. All right? Okay? On 2 bonus stuff, it's not an improvement.
Bonus choke.
Bonus chokes are good chokes. Where's Kate? Is that-
Yeah, that's what she's like, where's my sister? We're in the car.
Swim. Here. Smishy smish. Yeah.
If that shoulder's
So I want to
on,
be here. And as I'm here, it's that. Gotcha. It's right there.
I don't know. It might just be the day.
don't let your findings.
Yeah, usually I have no something with that. She's really bendy though too, so.
You're hilarious. I just love doing it all. You know. Let's fix one thing. Elbows in. Yeah, so I can't get an issue. Boom. Good. Boom.
There you go.
Yes.
All the way down to the mat.
Yes. So you want to be here and pinch your tight as you walk through, and this comes through like this.
Don't bring
So
that
there's
here.
always wind. Keep your knees up. Right, and now.
There.
But you did loosen the grip. I did, I was, yeah. So I still, so it was still there. You want to make sure it's kind of better.
Yes, you can. I don't hear, I can't.
Good back pops on every session.
But,
Make sure you.
That's the gross part, but that.
Yes!
Proposes some shit, you know,
So, yeah.
every time I don't, I back and sleep on, I gotta.
Oh, yeah.
burst the muscles.
Always, yeah, so think of it like this, think of your ears, and as I'm going to reach, I'm like this, because that's gonna bring the thumb in. And get it, and get this, so I'm always. And then you can think of it as this blade right
You can't, you
here.
gotta let go.
I didn't know.
So it's a submission, you never choke.
So we'll do it from this way. Yeah. That way we can get to it. So you can get over that. And so for that's here, right, and I smash. I'd like to get as deep as I can. That way as I come through, and I get to here.
It's kind of what I'm trying to do with that.
Yep.
I give that option. At the very
Was
least.
that, did you feel that? Okay. I just, I'm also trying to like this, because Truthfully, it's easier to pull it up if I smash it more. Oh, for sure. Across here. Since I don't want to do that. Exactly, exactly. Just to give you the context, it goes through like reach too far when you don't have a good smash.
So you're trying to lift and you right there. Then your arms is like too. That's what I'm saying. You don't need to do that.
I'm good.
Keep it guided. There you go.
So you didn't pull me up? Oh, I didn't. So, yep. Yes.
I'm gonna get that.
Yeah. That's it. Very. We're gonna keep it tight.
The other side. Stack you one there. Stack you more.
Here, right? Okay. Yeah. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Bonus. Yeah, the bonus. Over and over again. Exactly. Better. All the above. No cutter.
Stupid low.
Sometimes I feel like this way is
Yes. Sometimes they bring that way, right? Yeah. Here. So what I want to do is really out.
It's just them on top of you.
Right.
Yeah, let that go. Yeah, I mean, if you want to feel it and make sure. Yeah, no, I mean, but you can, if it's starting to really, you can tap. You don't have to. I'm just making sure because I almost dropped that all the way down. I didn't know if. It's on you, it's up to you, but. I'd rather read it.
Rotate you a bit. Sometimes I'm ending up having to rotate my elbow and then.
Shift it over, break in the guard, good. Swim, great.
Very nice, very nice.
Here.
What'd you do?
Nice, dude.
That's a true test.
Yeah, he did.
It's over exaggerated movements and needed one side.
Lose some right. Yeah.
Lori, fight the feet.
Walk your body on.
Okay.
Oh, you use my body.
No,
It's like something you should not have to go through that.
Always out of the mat.
yeah, so we're there.
See how much easier that was?
Clearly.
All right, guys, time.
All right, that's an introduction to the bread cutter off of that pass. Just think about the application of that thumbing grip on the collar. Anytime we do anything, you have a choke started. Okay? What's another thing that we do with that thumb in the collar all the way to the back? Cross choke, right?
Yeah.
Cross choke from closed guard, cross choke from mount. That thumb goes all the way to the back tag, right? You get the bread cutter set up, right?
Sure.
What else can you do with thumb that deep? You can do another collar choke. Yeah. Not, so with two collar, you're using the other hand and going the other way, but you're still thumb deep on the collar, right? You can just think about that. Anytime your thumb is in at the back of the neck, you have a choke. Okay? How you finish and apply that choke is a different story. It's going to be situation dictates, but you have a choke set up. Okay? Now, we're going to talk about escaping bottom side control. Right? Side control is a place where, as a white belt or even as a blue belt, you're going to spend a lot of time. Right? Typically on bottom, right? But even just being on top. So, how many here know what bottom side control looks like? Okay. First thing I'm going to do, Shane's going to put me in side control. Let's go this way. Shane's going to put me in side control. First thing I need to do is set frames, right? We've got several different frame setups, but for this exercise, I want to go with the L shape. So I'm going to have a forearm on his hip. Then he's going to come in and put me in side control. I'm going to have forearm across his neck. Notice my hands are not touching anywhere on his body right now, right? If my hand goes in the pocket of this shoulder and he traps my elbow, that's a wrist lock. That's bad for me, it's good for him. If this hand back here goes in the pocket of that hip and he traps my elbow, that's a wrist lock. That's bad for me and it's good for him. So we just use forearms. And then I can reach over the top of his shoulder to help control as needed. Okay? These frames are also good for things like alleviating pressure. If he starts applying the pressure I know he can apply, this starts to suck and I'm not able to breathe as well, right? All I'm going to do is grab the back of his shoulder and I'm going to lift my elbow to the ceiling. Apply pressure, Shane. It's not so easy to do now. Remember, where the head goes, the body will follow. If his head is pushing my arm down, his body's going to follow that and I'm going to get squashed. Believe it or not, big guys get squashed too. With my legs, I'm going to take inside leg. That's the inside is the closest one to his body. Inside of my foot, the bottom sole of my foot goes to the inside of my knee. I'm going to turn my hips towards my opponent and put my knee into his hip socket. This is going to slow him down from going to mount, right? So now I'm in a good defensive position. I don't want to stay here all day. Defending is great, but defending all day sucks. Eventually you're going to make a mistake. Your arm's going to get tired, your leg's going to get tired, he's going to find a hole, and he's going to go, right? So what I need to do is re-guard from bottom side control. He's going to take me from bottom side, which is not as great for me. That's going to put me back into full guard, or half guard, whichever you choose. But for this exercise, we're going back to full guard. So, first things first. Who can tell me the first thing I've got to do?
Bridge.
Sure.
I've got a bridge,
Big
right?
bridge.
Am I going to bridge on 1 foot or 2? Two. You never bridge on 1 foot. That's a half-ass bridge. And you get half-ass results. So both feet go to the mat. Walk my heels in as close to my butt as possible, and I'm going to bridge into my training partner. Now, Shane, being a good training partner, he's not just going to fall over like a dead fish, like we do with the kids' class all the time. He's going to stay strong in his base, and he's going to try and flatten me back out. So I'm going to be here. If you remember a halfie seminar, our foot's out a little bit for a kickstand, right? So now it's harder for him to come in. Then I'm going to shrimp my hips back to create space. My inside or bottom leg, my knee's going to come across the midsection. I'm going to touch my knee to my elbow, right? At this point, because I'm a dick, I'm going to grab a hold of this shoulder. I'm going to grab the collar, just like I'm going to set up a choke, but I'm not doing a choke this time. My bottom arm is going to underhook his elbow. This foot and my shin are going to push my body away to create space, right? Notice I'm bringing his arm with, and it creates all this room over here. At this point, I can flip my foot under, around, I have control. He's going to try and run at this point. My guard is not there. So he's going to try and do stuff, but I have control. Back to guard. What can I do from here? All kinds of mean shit. So he's going to want to break that grip and get back to a good position. Okay? Yes, lots of steps. I'm sorry.
Very nice.
My Fitbit would be happy.
All right. So we're back in position. First thing I do, feet down. Get a kickstand, big bridge. Look, he almost fell over, but he's not a bad training partner, so he's going to come back with a little bit of force, right? So then I'm going to shrimp out a little bit, knee to elbow, right? Knee to elbow. Get the collar, hook the elbow, big swim. I pivot my body in the same direction the arm is going. Arm's going this way, my body goes this way. Flip my foot under, back into guard, and then if I feel like it, I'll let him sit back up. Okay? Ready to do it? On 20?
All right.
Yeah, keep on moving.
I was like, what?
Never mind. That's right.
You're very excited. You don't want to be okay. So, first thing is first, you get your knees where they're going to be, which is one at the hip and one at my shoulder.
You don't want to do that.
Okay, control, elbow, elbow.
Maybe create some more space.
Eyes clear. That's what I can do.
You're in my way.
Put out.
Walk down.
You told her this way.
No. Yeah. Well, no, that's good though, because.
Have you guys shift that way just a little bit?
You don't necessarily have to bring them up there, it's just like you're, if they say back like this, you can also. So long as you got them here. Yeah, that's what.
Ideally.
Right. That's what we're saying. For me to finish now,
Well, that, you'll try to scroll.
right this way.
So,
Loosen up a little bit.
Okay, now, I mean, that's what you got, yeah, longer, long so much.
Here's
That's right. Not saying it won't work, but push out. Here, let's try to hit it. How did you guys get all the way over here?
I'm long, damn.
Get the fuck back over.
You guys keep your.
It's getting
Chasing you.
It's okay. Stay in your zone. This was that fun.
Right? Yes. All right, so.
Jeff, this pickup for you, if this ends up being too much on your back, just say so.
That'll be really late. Yeah. When you go and just go to the sun, come back once. So what I want you to do, when you bridge, and then bridge this here, I want you to go to the shoulder. Okay.
I'm in position.
But, now this is the part back up. Yeah, your butt like that and bridge. There.
Knees are bending.
Here.
Hi, Narc.
And here, that's the flower. What you want to do is shrimp out, so you push your butt that way.
We don't
And bring that in. You have to bring that in.
We're starting.
This is where you can
Move this arm and rotate it and turn your body.
And then you can swing this. Yeah, leaving that in.
Roll my arms this way to expose my body. to get your
Good.
On the side of the
Because that was weird. Like
Roll
this.
with me. And then bring it up over to you.
Like this.
There you go.
Yeah, I got you. This one's
Yep.
so then you're shaking.
face.
That's awesome.
All right, so. Here. All right. That's here. They start. Here, boom, and I bridge. I bridge. Do this, and then shoot out. Get to here. Alright, this, this part, yeah, here is, here, take that, and then you wanna bring, you don't wanna lean that way, right? So yeah, come back that way, because it'll even worse. I take you that way, and then I'm in your side, I put you in side control, basically, because I come out this way, so.
We're going very,
Yeah, so it just would be.
right?
It comes in but how you react to helping yourself. So it's like, when you're being regarded, if you're like this and you fall like this and you could go this way, someone will push you that way. So when you're being regarded,
Yes.
and you're like this, always remember how you want your face. And that'll come in.
And you want that as wide as possible.
Well, yeah, because if you regard me and you're pushing this way, I want to maintain this strength right here. Even though you're pushing this way, I don't want to be weak here and fall this way. So you want to be strong here, even still, so that.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, get fucking sloppy, grips are gone. Hitting the highway.
Go over your neck.
Well, I mean, you get something. Oh, it's making it easy. It's like your leg back, you get a short and a half. You can get your leg base and all that stuff going.
Now you have control. No, don't grab the jab. No, he didn't do it. No, he doesn't grab it. It's like under him. Oh, I heard. Right here. Pinch, no nothing, just right here. Okay? Now, this one, shovel your hips under back. You shovel, keep that left foot back. Use the shovel on the house. Yeah.
Make no connection with you. You know, throw you into a better position, why not?
So what happens? Hey guys, time. Let's talk about something real quick. Check this out, right? Do you guys remember in the seminar when Mike was talking about trying to move around and re-guard, but not having a point of contact on the ground? You guys remember that? Yeah. You've got to have that kickstand, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we do the big bridge, right? We shrimp, we bring this knee back through, and so many times what we see is once this knee starts coming through, people do this. And they try butt scooting through. Well, when you've got pressure on you, you aren't butt scooting any fucking where, you're just gonna get smashed, right? This has to stay on the mat to push you through. Now the movement that we're doing, we're here, we shrimp, we bring the knee across. This stays where it was, and all you're doing is pushing to drive your hips under, right? Like this. This knee goes from being parallel to the floor to perpendicular. Boop. Okay? Plant, pop through. You can even use the elbow that's on the mat to help out with that. Okay? So practice just that movement. Just a couple times. Everybody do it. Everybody practice that movement just a couple times.
Double sequence or just like.
Just that movement.
You say that.
We're gonna
Just that movement.
just the movement, yeah.
So we bridge, right? Our knees across. We're on our shoulder. We've got our kickstand, right? So we're here. We're here. All we're doing is shoveling our hips. Boop.
Make the noise too.
Sound effects make it happen. Boop. Beep, boop. Yeah, we're just shoveling our hips under. That's just like that. Just like that. That's gonna change the way that this guard, re-guard works for you, right? That hip shovel is everything. Instead of going, and you get smashed the whole time, you've already got your frames, just boop, right through. Okay? You're mocking me, aren't you? It's okay. A couple more reps on 2 on 2.
Yeah.
Excited.
Gotta do now.
We'll just go on.
Yes, so, control. You have your frames, this is, right here, boom. Nope, no, that's both legs. Never try to shoot, never try to bridge with one leg. Exactly.
Boom. Couple reps, guys. Then we're going on to the last one.
So you're here, right? You're good. So you can swim there.
So you should be on your shoulder right now, not on your back.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. See?
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Stop right there.
Just have to.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah.
Okay. We're making it up.
Yeah, I think I was trying to do it without. Not bad.
Yeah, she put me there and I was like,
I said,
Makes sense.
Sound effects make it happen.
Sitting your
It's
chest.
kind of like training. If it's not.
Oh, yeah,
then
yeah.
you didn't train.
And I mean,
oh, is that too?
Here's if there was no body training, you go through all your shoulders, attend the gym, then it happens.
I don't do that.
They've never trained?
Well, that's not right. I don't take any pictures. What am I supposed to post?
and chances are you want to come back up here. Yeah, this might be better. Might be. Maybe not. Small percentage, but.
All right, guys, finish the rep you're on. Then we'll do the fun
You're
one.
really struggling there,
The
aren't
fun
you?
one.
Sure, let's
That's
do
one way to
that.
do it.
I don't think that'll get you anywhere.
I forget the little, I have to get on my other, because I don't have the blended flexibility. I have to switch to my other hip to get this leg out.
All right, let's do the fun one.
Yay!
Yay!
Oh,
I've been having fun this whole time, man. I don't know what it's called.
I haven't, I'm just kidding.
I know you don't know what we're doing. All right, so we're back here. This spot should be familiar to everybody, right? So, got my frames. And I'm gonna try and bridge, but Shane is gonna be mean and he's not gonna let me bridge. He's gonna block my hip by putting his elbow on it, right? So I'm gonna get to here, I'm gonna try and bridge, and he's kind of blocking me out. Right, he's just being Mr. Mean and Nasty. So what am I gonna do to Shane? I'm gonna show him what for. My elbow that's over by his hip, pop that sucker straight out in the air. And then I'm gonna grab his shoulder and drop it down, okay? I could even get my collar grip here and control. This elbow that I just popped out is gonna come to the outside of his knee to block it. Then I'm gonna get on my right hip, I'm just gonna turn towards him, and I'm gonna start walking, 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 so that his knees come together, right? Then I'm gonna lift my elbow here, bridge over. Right inside control.
Oh, yeah.
That's not from this position.
Sorry.
I like that you enjoy that one.
That's from Asgard, I know.
Again, we're here. I'm gonna bridge and he blocks my hip. Shane, I wanna win. Pop the elbow, trap the knee, start collecting his knees together. Now, I don't wanna do anything until I get these knees close together, because he's still in base, I'm posed, right? So I release up his legs. He's almost gonna fall over at this point. I'm just gonna give a little bump and lift my elbow. Boop. Slide right over. Okay, we ready to play? Do you want to?
You're going first.
You gotta answer.
More.
All right. You ready for this one?
was easy, I was like, okay.
And that bridge and you bend my hip with your elbow. With your elbow.
All right. So, with that one where. Place this up. It's
Sorry, a little bit of weight came crashing down at that, at the time that my hips connected.
Oh, you scoop the knee? Oh.
Yep. And bring it in here. Turn this way. Walking and driving.
I'm not used to that.
What's that?
Don't go rolling off the mat, say it.
He's trying to do that move without aggravating his
She's going the wrong way.
No, show me. Does that activate anything that's in the body? Is it fine? Fine. Okay, let's see what happens. Yes. We'll go slow. Test it out. Do the motions of the sensor so that you know. So, we have that, we have that. All right, so, it's all the same. We have this, we have this here, right? So what I was saying is like, with this one, I can do this and get to here. I just kind of try to. Okay. So as you go to bridge, so you put that leg down. Stop bridging, and I don't let it happen. Right? I'm like, no way. Now,
My head, your head's blocking my arm.
also the kids are ready to collect.
Turn your hips towards him. Turn your hips towards him.
On bridge.
Keep going. Yes! Let me show you.
It's interesting how your legs sometimes it's not an efficient. Not to be. Hot spicy meatballs.
Now, the beauty of that is we can go back and forth.
I get it.
They know
So you can just keep going.
Yeah, just get us a-
We're here.
Then I see it.
We're here. Oh, no, I can't do anything. So the idea here is here, it's come down and it gets here.
Don't kick the wall already.
Yeah, I just was looking at that.
Oh, I see.
You may have one.
I want it up here in case you. Okay. So I'm like.
Yeah. Okay.
I was gonna say, I saw him and I wanted to make sure everything was okay.
Yeah, but you see how many.
You are carrying a lot of weight going that pretty good distance.
Guys, think about the choke. You get the collar, you put that thumb in that collar before you do your bridge over. Once you come down, what's right there for you? The choke's right there. Remember, the old man knows what he's talking about once in a while.
Ready for this?
Pay attention to where you're going. Come up here.
Well, not quite as fun as the ankle thing.
That's my
So
favorite.
turn your hips in. Yes. Drive that leg. Drive that leg. Drive that leg. No.
That's right. Big bridge. Big bridge. Sound effects help. Two stage. Motion. Two stage. Bump and then go. They can fight you. Drive right back into you.
And go.
But you can turn it first.
Just pay attention to where your knees going, 'cause remember, it's too fucking high, you're not gonna get anything. Just wanna get it. What are you gonna do?
Oh, like that way. Yeah. Bridge. Boom.
Spicy meatballs. Like that's, are you pushing twice or just pushing once? He gets a fucking bird face like fucking bird in Sesame Street, so what is it? Do it again.
Right, that's like, you know what I mean? This is right now, it's normal. Sure. You're seeing what happened, you're seeing what happens. All the things that happen. So, well, you want to do it correct.
Hey, Tom,
Yes, ma'am.
toilet's not flushing.
Oh, great. That's awesome.
So bridge.
Terrific.
Is this good? Like, I think the chain might have fallen off.
I don't want to do this shit right now.
I know.
Okay.
Here. Boom, here. No.
There you go. Beautiful.
You wouldn't have stuck the paper towels down there.
I'm a man. Oh, stuff. Wolverine's way over here.
Yeah, I see all this flipping around. I'm not hearing very many sound effects.
Whose turn is it?
Yours.
I should be hearing boobs all over.
You're gonna get it back to
Taking it too
What's
far.
that mean?
Now everyone's beeping and booping.
Pretty beep, pretty boochers. Beep, beep, boop. Oh,
Oh,
it's like
should I do
fucking
this?
kids' class all over again.
You know you live
Going over there.
I'm gonna roll you that way. You come over this way more.
Walk the room. There you go. Big bridge. Yeah, big bridge.
I felt it in my kid ears.
Sound effects.
Not actually.
fucking tipsy.
Felt great.
There's your sound effects. They don't sound effects.
I know. I'm getting after everybody.
I beat my last
You're
turn.
gonna put
You beat your last turn?
You beat your
Oh, you beat?
All over the place. It's rude.
It's hard to put your finger. It's not. It's like bring over your ass. Your ass is bigger than my ass. It's your whole ass.
I grunted. I need the grunt.
All right, guys, finish the rep you're on.